tonight, I would like to start by having David Brown, who's the chairman of the board of directors for the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum. Imagine putting that on a business card. To explain our format. David, over to you. And Dave, take your mute button off.
Okay. Doug, thanks for the introduction. And also thank you for what a great idea this is to have this debate for the benefit of the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum. Let me remind you that the purpose of the debate tonight is to put fun back into fundraising. So here's a few rules. We're going to continue to take donations and your votes until 7:30, at which point we'll cut the vote off. The website and the phone number are on your chat screen, and they'll be shown on the video screen periodically. You can still donate to the Great Debate through the end of the year, but only your money will be counted and not your votes. Those stop at 7:30. During this final debate, if you have a comment or question to pose to our sector leaders, please use the chat screen for that purpose. We will fit them in as we are able. The winner tonight will be the team that accumulates the most points and dollars. Points are earned with each donation that is made to the National Mining Hall of Fame. So 1 point per person that donates. However, if you donate at least $100, you will earn another 10 points. So for example, if you donated $50 and then you donated another 50 up to 100, you have 11 points. And if you donate another $100, you can earn another 10 points on top of that. Don't worry about any of that. Rest assured that the final determination will be made by a very biased panel of judges. So on behalf of the Board of Directors, the Board of Governors, and the staff, I want to thank all of you and all of the sector leaders for playing along with us for all these many months. Your emails, phone calls, and pleas for funding are greatly appreciated and a huge help to the museum at this point. And also a huge thank you to all of those of you who have donated to our worthy cause. So, welcome to everybody who has logged in this evening, and without further ado, let's go.
All right, thank you, David. So here are the rules. Because of who our thought leaders are, we kept them very simple. Unlike the presidential debates, our thought leaders will not make personal attacks. For instance, if I was to say, the reason that Tim Arnold has had so many mines, been to so many mines, is because he changes jobs so often, that would be considered a personal attack and inappropriate. However, if Tim said, geoscientists have discovered more uneconomic deposits than anyone else in the world, he would unfortunately be factually correct, and this would be totally acceptable. Each thought leader will have up to 2 minutes to summarize their position. We will end by awarding the award and then have an acceptance speech from the group that has done the best. But before we start, I personally want to thank our thought leaders. All of you are dear friends, and you put a lot of time and effort into helping the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum raise money. I'd like to thank Mark Levere, who represented the metallurgists and processing engineers, Tim Arnold, who represented the miners, Ruby Barrickman, who represented the emerging leaders, Ann Carpenter and Kelly Ward, who represented women mining professionals, and William Lips, who represented the environmental /safety /ESG everything else is not covered by the other categories. I'd like to also thank Dave Carnegie, the Executive Director of SME, and Bill Gleason, the editor of SME's Mining Engineering Journal, for allowing us to put our fun pieces in their journal. And I'd like to thank Michael Rosenbaum, who is our caricature artist, who's done an excellent job, despite the fact that my caricature looks nothing like me. I'm far more handsome than that. Most of all, we'd like to thank you, the donors, for your support of National Mining Hall of Fame. So with that, let's start with the first speaker, and that will be William Lips, who's representing the Environmental Safety ESG. And Bill, you have up to 2 minutes to make your case. Go for it.
No, you're good.
Okay, I didn't know I was first. Can you hear me?
That's because you're important.
That's because I'm important. I made a speech, see?
Yeah.
You can't see it because it's blurred in there with the coronavirus.
Love your background.
Okay, so thank you very much for allowing me to do this. It was a pleasure to poorly represent environmental safety governance during this great debate. It's quite evident to me that the true winners are not reflected in the number of votes or donations given, and that the extent of winning is apparently inversely proportional to the donations received or money raised. My group, loosely called environmental for this discussion, is not one of the most people you think of first. We're an afterthought. Remember, it's environmental, so you probably think of us as something like a stench. You only think of safety after you cut your finger off, fall off a ladder, or maybe you drop the hairdryer in a bath. I mean, who thinks about safety before they're dead? Environmental? Well, what's worse than that? As I mentioned, can you say stench? If a toilet is working fine, you don't think about the plumber. You only think about the plumber when the toilet backs up and the stench is on the floor. If engineers failed in their design or the miners cause a major spill because some metallurgist or geologist screwed up somewhere, what does that matter? They're safe because that fool environmental department is going to be in the news, getting dirty, cleaning it up, and catching all of the blame in the press. You probably don't know this, but I'm technically not even in the mining industry at all. So to me, SME is like a hobby. So it's knowing that, it'll be funny for you to wonder how come the environmental division ever made me a chair. It was easy during this mining museum great debate to pick on the geologisters, the malarkeyists, and the itty bitty miners. What was very tough for me was picking on women and the youngsters because they are, well, women and youngsters. Early on in this great debate, I learned that it's not too healthy to jest at the cost of women. It's not allowed to joke about women because they are women, and it's dangerous too because there are 2 of them for every 1 of us. In addition, how do you joke about millennials when the only reason that they are millennials is because they are millennials? But I did enjoy the ongoing spats with the malarkeyist. That's the metallurgist for some of you, but malarkeyist to me. Believe it or not, I almost studied malarkeyism, but somewhere along the line, I decided that I wanted to study a real science. First, I pursued geology, but when I discovered in geology class that the science of geology is based on the higher technology of licking a rock or grinding sand in between my teeth, I decided to pursue a real science like chemistry. The malarkeyists seem to think that they are chemists, but we all know they don't use any real chemistry other than what they just decide to make up. Perhaps one of the design flaws of this great debate was that many in the audience did not fully understand the concept that we were just playing dodgeball, throwing insults at each other in the same way classmates seek to destroy their friends. If you've ever seen the movie Mean Girls, and I have daughters, so I'm going to qualify myself, I have daughters. If you've ever seen the movie Mean Girls, it's like that. I think some casual readers just took the burn book a little bit too seriously. But who am I to talk? It's obvious those of us with brains are not very successful at garnering all the votes or raising money. In this aspect, we probably lost. That's why it has become very obvious to me that where any concept of intelligence is involved, winning this great debate is inversely proportional to the money that we raised. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity to help raise money for the Mining Museum. It was interesting and fun. It's unfortunate that we were unable to do this in person, but apparently this Mexican beer's attack on computer operating systems, AKA the coronavirus, is much more powerful than even the toughest miner, even though those miners are not even old enough to drink. Thank you very much.
Well said, well said. Folks, he has thrown down the gauntlet. And, you know, maybe because of the conversion of the mining industry to formal ESG, thank you, Davos and Blackstone, maybe the next time they hold this debate, if ever, you'll have a better representation. But Bill, you did a great job. I'd love a copy of that so that I can put it in my Christmas cards that I send to my mining and metallurgical friends.
Malarkeyist.
Malarkeyous, very good, very good.
Metallurgy is malarkey. All
Okay,
right.
very good. You've set an incredibly low bar, and now the question is whether the youth of our future, the people who keep this business alive, the people that will willingly and unknowingly take our jobs, Ruby, represent the youth of the world. Today, please. Go unmute.
It's muted.
Oh no! I had so many quips, but now I'm in it. I come tonight armed with my boxed wine, my COVID dog, and my avocado toast to make my final case that the emerging leaders are the most important in the mining industry, bar none. But I am merely a representative. We as a generation come armed with the creativity, technology, agility, energy, diversity, and means to propel this industry forward. We have the skills to rotate your PDF, filter rows in Excel, and log into a VPN. And for the record, these are all just random examples and in no way are things that I have taught Doug Silver. Sorry, that's not fair. Which brings me to a millennial's second favorite F word, fairness. We love for things to be fair, and who wouldn't? Give us a participation trophy and we're happy. It's not that just you and the mining industry as a whole really need us, but you can count on us. I need to put my dog down for this. You can count on us to never leave you a useless voicemail. You can count on us to somehow figure out a way to merge Uber driving and haul truck driving, which I still think is a winning idea. And if tonight was any indication, you can count on us on possibly coming slightly underprepared to a meeting, be able to pull it off in the last minute. So it's no surprise that we are the most inclusive group debating tonight. Miners, we got them. Geologists, we've got them. Metallurgists, unfortunately, we've got them. Environmentalists, got them. Women, got them. Alas, this is my proposal. I think because we are completely inclusive of every other group that's debating, we should be able to take half of everyone's bucket and place it in the emerging leaders section. It's only fair. And thank you. And remember, if you're gonna donate anything tonight, donate it to the emerging leaders.
Thank you, Ruby. We will go over your comments during your annual review. And we appreciate you representing the victim status of most millennials. We think you've done a wonderful job there. And
Thank you.
I figured out how to turn the sound on my cell phone without your help, just for the record. No, you know what's amazing is and I have to throw this out there, which is really the future of the mining industry is tied to the millennials. And apparently they don't make a lot of money because we got so few donations out of them. But let me tell you, we need them desperately, and Ruby is one of their leaders. And thank you, Ruby, for taking the time from your schedule. And we really look forward, and I don't know if I'm speaking on behalf of all companies, but we're looking forward to when the millennials actually do come back into the office. Moving right along, the next is one of my favorite groups, women. And for this, we have two, and I'm gonna let Ann Carpenter, if she's able to start, and then Kelly Ward will finish. So Ann, the baton is being passed to you. Make your best case for women. And try by taking the mute button off first. Oh, gosh. There she is. Ann, are you there? Okay. Kelly, you're on deck, and then we'll try Ann again after you get done. Make your case.
Okay, so really how we were going to do this is Ann was going to talk about where we are and where we've been. So I'm a little bit future focused. And part of that is because the future is female. We've all heard it, we know it. It's evidence that we have a lady that presented for the emerging leaders. But let's talk about that future. So right now, women are about 16% of the extractives workforce, 12% in the global mining industry. So this year, women on boards comprise about 18% of the makeup of those, 13% of C-suite roles, and 15% of other executive roles, which is up from 8% in 2018. So why is that, do we think? Well, not trying to say that women are smarter than men, but CSU released a study last year that said in physical science courses, women had statistically higher course grades than men and higher university-wide GPAs than most men. And we all know mining is a physical science. Also, the Harvard Business Review last year, women rated better than men on key leadership capabilities. In 17 of 19 categories, women rated better. We're natural team builders. We show strength in defining responsibilities, and we excel in mentoring and coaching others. And also, we're perceived by managers, particularly our male managers, to be more effective than men at every hierarchical level and in virtually every functional area of the organization. That includes the traditional male bastions of IT, operations, and legal, which, like Ruby said, we also have everyone in our group. And then finally, from Inc. magazine, science says women in business outperform men. So we're more effective managers, we're better at finance, we're better top-level advisors, better planners, and we perform better under stress. And actually, we improve team performance. The mere presence of a woman increases the team productivity and output. The more women, the higher that productivity has been proven to be. In fact, men are shown as a liability to that. It might also be because we tend to have higher emotional IQs. So really, at the end of the day, when women are on boards, there's a striking correlation between return on assets. And then also water consumption for companies that have women on boards is almost 4 times more than men-only boarded companies. And those same companies in this study, 5 times more community spending engagement when there's at least 2 women on a board. So like I said, the future is female.
All right,
I think I figured out my mute.
All right, Ann, it's all yours.
Great, thank you, Kelly. That was great to illustrate the future going forward, and thanks for the stats. We all know that women are natural multitaskers, and that results in decisive and rapid responses to simultaneous and diverse tasks, a critical component to successful leadership. Of course, we still got the, we know that there's statistics out there about equipment operations. Mine managers that I've spoken to throughout my career have taken note, see the results and of lower equipment costs and better equipment performance and less maintenance. And bonus, we're not afraid to ask for directions. Notable women through time include Saint Barbara in the 3rd century, and she's the patron saint of miners and others who work with explosives. Sacagawea, a key interpreter for Lewis and Clark, she helped negotiate safe and peaceful passage, guiding the men to successful end to their exploration efforts. And Mary Curie, this physicist, investigations led to the discovery of radioactivity as well as the element of radium. Modern mining women, Catherine McLeod Seltzer. She's a stellar example and an international trailblazer who in 1999 was honored in by the industry as its Mining Man of the Year. And the women in mining organizations worldwide who have taken up the banner to showcase women, stellar women operating in the fields, the diverse fields throughout the mining industry across the globe. In this series of articles for the National Mining Hall of Fame, women are represented in all sectors, which was further represented by the young, thoughtful leaders. But men are represented in all but one. Just kind of marinate on that. And that's the closing argument on my side.
Well, thank you. I mean, how can anybody not donate to the women causes with such two superior speeches? So just a couple clarifications, because this does kind of remind me of the current politics. One is, nobody has ever explained to me where the woe in women comes from. Okay, St. Barbara was also the patron saint of undertakers. Not saying anything, just sort of bringing it up. Women are, no question, they can multitask, and but apparently that doesn't include philanthropy. And finally, when you say that men are a liability, I would like to point out that I personally resent that, despite the fact that I am a Superfund site when it comes to male liability.
Remember now, Doug, your own employee called you the liability.
Yeah, I got that, but you know, her mistake is her reviews coming up. No, that was great. You know, and just to let our audience know, last year nationally, in terms of new directors going on boards of directors of U.S. public companies, women were the most sought after group. It was something like 45 to 50% of the new directors were female. This is not a legacy of the past, folks. This is where the future is going. And when it comes to multitasking, I can personally tell you that the reason women score better in school is because, you know, they're smarter than us. I have a lot of personal experience with that. So moving right along, and now that we've had such a wonderful gender discussion, let's switch gears and talk about miners. Tim, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, everyone. I'd like to make sure that you realize that this is the live me. This is the character. This is the live me. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what people think deposits are. Let me move this real quickly. So what we see in our industry is we have people in exploration that go out there, put 6 holes in the ground, draw huge circles around it, and then decide, oh my God, there's 2 holes that have nothing in it. Now, it doesn't matter that this is 1 gram at 7,000 feet below the surface. What matters is this is what a deposit looks like to an exploration person. Let's take this next step and see what the deposit looks like to a miner. So the exploration people convinced somebody to drill another 4,326 holes, all at 7,000 feet deep. And they do happen to hit a nice little spot at the bottom. And we, the miners, are expected to make money out of this. Now, let's take the next step. What does an environmentalist think that the deposit looks like? The environmentalists come in the permitting time, and what they see is the price goes up as the number of studies go towards infinity, absolutely infinity. So now we spend the next 16 years spending millions of dollars trying to figure out whether or not we can just permit this dang thing. And they employ every single one of their best friends. So this is the original contract, and this is what the change orders come to. What's the metallurgist do? He denies there's any gold anywhere. He denies that there's anything. They come out here and start painting black rocks gold, and then complain about how the geologists could never figure out where that there was a deposit. And of course, the miners just send them waste. We do have the emerging leaders here. And this is what the deposit looks like to those people. I do think there's a few people that are underrepresented here. Number one would be our legal teams. Number two would be the public relations people. And finally, what the market thinks about your deposit. So let me wrap this up fairly simply. What we need to understand is it's called the Mining Hall of Fame. It's not the Metallurgical Hall of Fame. It's not the Geoscientist Hall of Fame. It's the Mining Hall of Fame. The other thing I'd like to point out is, as we all know, there's only one president that was a miner, and he was a mining engineer. I'd also like to make a complaint. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of fake news going on with this thing. Where's Gleason? Where's Gleason? Absolute fake news the entire time. I'm telling you, this thing's completely out of hand. And I know that there's voter fraud because every one of the guys behind me right now, every one of them voted 4 times today. And I didn't see a single vote come to that screen. So all I'd like to make sure everybody understand is we are the most important profession in mining. You can all say that you can't find a deposit without a geologist. You can say you can't process the rock without a metallurgist. You know what? Nobody gets to do anything unless you get the rock out of the ground, into the mill, and that's what we do for you. We also are smarter than the rest of you as well. So I'm done here, Doug. I'm more than willing to take any questions.
Okay. Thank you, Tim, for your presentation. I'll remind you that the Hoover was considered one of the worst presidents ever. So I guess you're going on the fact that he was an engineer, in which case he was pretty good. Thank you. I got to wonder whether Ed Dowling would have a bit of a complaint with you about your early slides. Didn't I see those once before, like in 2001, when we had a similar debate?
It would have been 2002, and it was Paul Corpy.
Oh, it's Paul Corpy. All right.
But
Well,
you're old, so I understand you can't remember very well.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true. Okay, well, thank you. I think you make a very compelling case why people should vote for others. Moving right along, I unfortunately have double duty because not only was I enlisted, and I'm using that phrase euphemistically, to organizing this debate, but also I represent the geoscientists. And you know, it's such an honor, it's an absolute honor to represent the geoscientists because it includes geologists, geochemists, geophysicists, land people, anybody. It includes the samplers who take the first sample. It includes the drillers who drill the first discovery hole. And collectively, it shows that the real intelligence in the mining industry are the people who have the ability to interpret and crack the incredibly intense secrets of Mother Nature. But it's more than that. Geoscientists are philanthropers. Not as much tonight as I wish. I mean, feel free to donate if you want. We got a few minutes left. But here's the point. Geologists have an incredibly difficult task discovering mineral deposits. And then once we do discover one and we've drilled it out and we've done our professional work, which we're all renowned for, then we use that information to create jobs for miners. These are people who otherwise couldn't get a job at McDonald's, even at $15 an hour, as Bezos is pushing. And it goes further than that because the miners and guys like Tim Arnold, who work so hard, who do everything they can to blow up things, which apparently takes intelligence to blow things up, they in turn create jobs for metallurgists. metallurgists, people who live and breathe, literally live and breathe noxious chemicals for the benefit of the consumer. And why do they do that? Because in turn, metallurgists create jobs for environmentalists who, if it wasn't for metallurgists, environmentalists would be hired by geologists to be our samplers. And how does this all tie together in the grand unifying theory of the universe? These three functions that the geologists create through their hard work and incredible intelligence allows us to hire young people, people who know how to use a cell phone, know how to play video games, but don't know how to show up in the office on Monday mornings. These incredibly intelligent people who are cracking the massive secrets of Mother Nature create jobs for everybody. And I'm not just talking about the mining industry, because without the metals, you wouldn't have cars. So the car manufacturers owe it to the geologists. We wouldn't have electric vehicles, which we need lithium and copper. Again, if the geologists don't discover it, electric vehicles don't exist. In fact, entire governments would not exist without the natural resources we produce, including the old time-worn phrase, if it can't be grown, it has to be mined. The agriculture people, even they can't do their job without geologists discovering phosphate deposits. So this really is an argument. I mean, we've been playing with these other divisions the way a cat plays with a mouse. But if you really look at the soul, the whole reason the mining industry exists, it exists because of the consumer who needs the metals and the geologists who discover it. Other than that, we play no other role. What can I say? So with that, why aren't more of my geologist friends like, throw in $5 or $10, you guys can afford it. We're behind the miners right now. We need a few more donations. Get with the program, call in, send in money. And finally, and I can't say this without great respect for Mark Levere, who I've known for way too long. Mark, you're the last of the important speakers. Please, if you can, given what you absorb every day when you're in plants, please tell us your position.
Well, Doug, thank you for the opportunity. You know that I think the metallurgists are the greatest. We've been leading the pack this entire time. We've been soaring. But metallurgists and mineral processors, as you know them, yeah, you better take another go. I've decided that I can't compete with a silver-tongued devil or a really polished miner. But I will say this. Metallurgists are not just mineral processors. They're pyrometallurgists, they're smelters, they're steel people. They're in the alloy business. It's just as precious metals, it's lead, zinc, it's copper. There's chemists and mineralogists that count in there too. I have to apologize. I have to take a deep breath because I'm on a xanthate high. I've been out in the float planet and I've been drinking my cyanide cocktail. But, some of the names in the Hall of Fame are just outstanding. Parker, Plato Melazimov, Harris, Bapu, Richards, Gadan, Taggart. We're full of innovation and creation and solving problems because nobody ever brings us any grade. Geologists find rock, lick it, and go, it's good, and we've got to save the day. Then there's the miners who send us scrap steel and blasting wire and all kinds of other stuff, waste rock included. And we got to make them look good because we all want to look good. Anyone knows me says, holy God, 2 minutes? Levere's going to talk for 2 minutes? He's toast. He can't talk for 2 minutes. He needs at least 20. I would like to do a little different spin. I'd like to say this has been a great experience. It's really ramped my enthusiasm for the Mining Hall of Fame and Museum. It's a great institution. I want to give a shout out to Hugh Evans, who was inducted last Saturday. He's a brother in arms, and we want to comment about that 10th Mountain Division, who my son served with as well in Afghanistan. And Hugh was a hero of the 10th Mountain Division with a Silver Star, and in Italy during World War II. I also like to say that it's a great day to be a digger, as Bob Green would say from Montana Tech. We've got a number of great schools out there, and I just want to let you know this has been one of the greater adoptions that's ever occurred with me going into Montana Tech. Yeah, there's bias toward metallurgists. We all know that. But I want to thank Doug Silver. I want to thank some of the people here tonight. Doug for asking me, and number two for saving me from a fate worse than death, working with a bunch of junior miners that were scammers and geologists. Would have ruined my career, but Doug saved me. Tim for all his support in SME. We've collaborated on a lot of things as mining engineer and metallurgical engineers, and that's been a real plus, and it's been a delight working with Tim on this. Bill Lips, I have to compliment you on all the things you did to help me and the lab at Newmont when you were putting things in order for us and helping us out on an analytical basis, keeping us straight. Ruby, I got to acknowledge your youth and enthusiasm. You are the future. We've got a lot of mentoring to do, Doug, but I'm happy to help you. Ann, Kelly, Ann was probably one of the first women in mining, along with Barb Filas, that really showed me what you were all about. And I want to acknowledge that and thank you for that. And we've had some great times together, and I want those to continue. So I won't say anything negative about them. But wrapping up, I will say the metallurgists pull everybody out of the soup and make those deposits that no one thought were possible. And we don't have to look too far to understand what that all means. I just wish that everybody would bring us just a little bit more grade. That's it, Doug. Great night.
Hey, Mark, I can't thank you enough. You know, your comments are so poignant. And if you think about it, the mining industry is really a family. We take care of each other. And like your brothers and sisters, we have fun with each other, particularly with you, because there's so much material to work with. And Tim, where I mean, it's basically the information is infinite. I mean, seriously, I don't think I could ever stop picking on Tim. But you know, you're right. The objective tonight here is to raise money for a good cause. You've all done a wonderful job in presenting your cases. The money is coming in, which is good. And I'm just checking the numbers here to see whether anybody's sending any negative emails about anybody. You guys are all being polite tonight. Okay, so listen, I want to take 5 minutes to our audience who thank you for making the time tonight. If you have a specific question you would like to ask any of our thought leaders, and we put that in big quotes, of course, because you've now heard them. If you have any questions for our thought leaders, or you would like to express an opinion which may or may not be shared with the others, please go ahead and do that. I can see you in the chat room. Go ahead and tell me what you're thinking. We'll see if we can take a couple questions, because it's not often you get such talented people together to run a campaign like this. And you got to understand, it's not just a question of they showed up. These people reached out to their friends. They've reached out to everybody they know. to get people to donate anything, and $5 or $10 to the geoscientists would be appreciated. You can donate anything you want, but let's just see if we have any questions here that we can share just for fun, because we're coming towards the end of the show. And I'm just looking down here. Hello. Okay, yes, thank you. I am very well dressed because I took this seriously. Any nice comments about Tim Arnold will be discredited just because I know him so well. Let's see. Questions? Come on, somebody asked me about one of the thought leaders where you'd like to either enhance their arguments or you'd like to totally undermine them, because I find that a lot more attractive given the current political situation. It's all about undermining people rather than supporting them. I'll give you 1 minute. Seriously? There we go. Okay. Have the results been sent to David Brown? If they have, David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Doug. Robin, the envelope, please.
You sound like you're on a science fiction program.
It's actually the bill from the National Mining Hall of Fame. I am happy to announce that the winner of the great debate is the metallurgist. And accepting tonight is Mark Revere. Mark, would you like to make some comments?
Thank you, David. We all knew we were going to be the winners, but we appreciate it. We appreciate the support. David, I'd just like to point out that in your closing remarks at the induction, you forgot to mention any metallurgists. You 3 times noted the geologists and geoscientists, and we had to overcome that bias. But it's okay. We appreciate a good challenge, and we know that we can overcome anything just based on what the geologists always try to give us. And Mr. Lips is always challenged for what we leave behind him. So thank you. We appreciate everybody's support, and there's still time to donate more money. The money doesn't end here. Donate to the Mining Hall of Fame and Museum, please.
Mark, you did a marvelous job. Because I got to be behind the scenes and watched how you mobilized your army of metallurgists and processing engineers, you truly kicked our asses, and I'm sorry to admit that, but kudos to you, dude. You pulled it off. You did a marvelous job. You deserve this award. And there's not actually a trophy. In fact, there's not even a stipend. I guess it's just you get bragging rights. That's as good as it gets, because the museum needs more money and we can't afford to buy trophies.
Right, that's okay, because my wall of fame is just too full. My wife said there's no more room, so I just want to remain humble, though. Okay.
Well, yeah, and humbleness has always been your single greatest personal trait. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when I'm perfect in every way. I just took a look in the mirror. I keep getting better each day. Yeah, okay, fine.
Hey, don't forget that everybody got a caricature to put up on their family portrait wall.
Thank you, Robin. That's true. The characters have been sent to our various thought leaders as a thank you, along with a bottle of wine. Really, the rest of you who have attended this, you have no idea how much time and effort they put into it. And I personally am very appreciative and know that it's going to cost me a lot of beers and expensive dinners in the future. So before we go, I would like Bill Gleason And let me tell you, Mining Engineer went out of their way to give us a column for every month. If you haven't read the columns, you should. They're hilarious, and they make the case for why we love this industry, and again, why we should donate, because we're trying to raise money for the museum. So, Bill, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. It was a great series. We're happy to have it, and it was really fun. We're happy to help the National Mining Hall of Fame, and congratulations to Mark, and thank you for everybody who participated and donated.
Thanks, Bill. No, it's good. I mean, Mining Engineer is one of the most popular and largest subscription bases in the North American mining industry, and they serve us in so many different ways, and we shouldn't forget it. And if you don't have your memberships renewed, I noticed, Bill, you just sent me my membership renewal. I don't know whether that was because of the debate or because it's what you normally do this time of the year, but trust me, the check's in the mail.
Yeah, please renew.
Please renew. Okay, so with that, we're bringing this to a close. The metallurgists get bragging rights in perpetuity, or until we run this campaign again. Thank you, everybody, for attending. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. My thought leaders, I love you to death. You made great positions despite the fact you lost. Thank you so much for your hard efforts and the time you spent to support the National Mining Hall of Fame and Museum. Good night, everybody.
Here is who you can contact if you want a caricature of your very own. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.